Hey guys, Sam Millard from PanhandlePrecision.com here. What I'm going to do today is talk about Kestrel's 5700 Sportsman weather meter with applied ballistics. I'll show you how to set it up and get started using it. Okay, this is the LiNK version. This has a Bluetooth system built into it, letting it communicate to other devices. The setup procedure for the meter itself is going to be very similar between a LiNK version and a non-LiNK version, so it'll apply to both. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the factory restore button on this thing and just pretend like it's brand new out of the box. So let's get going. Okay, I just did the factory restore on this, so this meter is going to be just like it was when it was brand new. It'll be just like the one that you just got. So let's go ahead and take a peek at the model number. Remember, this is a Kestrel Sportsman weather meter with applied ballistics and LiNK. That's the number right there. So let's look inside the box here. Of course, you've got the meter. It's going to come with a protective screen on it that you peel off. I've already done that. Inside, you're going to have a quick start guide, which is kind of a mini instruction manual. I recommend that you read this all the way through. Everything you need to know about the basic use of this meter is right in this little booklet. Okay, and you've got a pouch to protect it. I keep mine in a TYR case. And you're going to have a lanyard and one lithium battery. This is an Energizer Ultimate Lithium Battery, AA. Okay, to install the battery, you're just going to flip this latch, open it up. It's got a big old O-ring on it. I always write down the date, or at least the month and the year of when I put a battery in a device like this, because it lasts for so long that sometimes I open them up and say, man, when did I replace that battery? So I always write a date on there. And you just slap her in. It's got a little lever on the front. Make sure that's in place. Snap it in place. Okay, we're now factory restored. Let's talk about the buttons a little bit. This is the power up button. This is the option menu button. This also serves as an exit button. Then we have a capture button with a red bar in it. This is the backlight button, and we can scroll right, left, or scroll up and down. And the one in the middle is select. It's kind of like an enter button. So let's go ahead and fire it up. That's a startup screen. And then it's going to default to whatever screen you leave it in. So if you're in ballistic side of the meter when you turn it off, that's where it's going to return. If you're on the weather side, that's where it'll go. So we're going to go ahead and set a few things now. We're going to start with the time and date. So what I want to do is hit my options menu. This is the main options screen now. I'm going to scroll down until I get to system, select system. So now we're going to go into time and date. We're going to hit the select button again. Time format, I want to run 24 hour. It is 12:08. Day format, I don't care. It's 2017. It's January. It's January 11th. Alright, so now we're going to exit out. It's going to take us back to the back screen. Now we're going to get into compass calibration. Now you want to do a compass calibration because it allows you to get a heading to a target if you want to do any kind of target capture. So what you do with this is you get into this screen. It's going to tell you to hold it upright and rotate it 3 times slowly, about 10 seconds per turn. Sometimes this is going to be a real hassle for you, but keep trying until it shows that it's calibrated. Okay, that's what you want. You want to calibrate complete. Now we know the compass is calibrated. Okay, with our compass calibrated, we want to exit back into the screen. Okay, we're going to go check our measurements, and then here is where you can turn on and off everything on the weather side of the meter. So, you know, I'm not going to really spend a lot of time on the weather side of this meter, but just know that you can turn off any measurement this will check independent of the ballistic side. So if you want to go real fast through your weather side and you don't want to get tripped up by seeing all the different values that you don't really care about, you can turn off every one of them on here that you don't need. So just to show you what's on here, we've got a lot of stuff here we don't really need to shoot. So you can turn these off. You could turn everything off here, and the ballistic side of the meter will still give you the environmental conditions that you need to take a shot. So let's get out of here. Let's go to units. We're going to leave it on global units, so our wind speed is mile per hour, temperature is Fahrenheit, and pressure is inches of mercury. Then our language is English. You could try French, you could do German, Spanish, or English. Okay, and the battery, this is where you would adjust it. If you aren't using a lithium battery, you can choose NIM, or you can choose an alkaline. I would just stick with lithium, then you don't have to worry about it blowing up in the meter. And it also works very well in cold weather. Alright, so that's it on that screen. Let's go ahead and exit out. Okay, from our main options window or menu, this is going to be where we just left off. We just did everything in system. Now we're going to go to display. Okay, we have an auto shutdown feature that will let us either have it shut down by itself in 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45, an hour, or never. You can turn this off. So let's go ahead and set that at 30 minutes. Contrast, you can mess around with the contrast, but I found that 10 is perfect. Can't really improve it going any other way. So the next one is your backlight color option. You can either have white or you can have red, and to choose that you go right, left, right, left. I like white a lot better. I'll show you the difference between the two in a couple minutes here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and exit out. That was our display. Graph scale we won't mess with. That's mostly for weather measurements. Memory options, same deal. Data port. Data port is if you want to do firmware or ballistic uploads. You want to do gun profile uploads from your computer. You would turn that on and off here. Using the cable, you can hook it up to your computer with a USB cable. This is your Bluetooth. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Okay, and this is the top of the main options screen. This is showing us if we click select now, we're going to be on ballistic side of the meter. If we click now, we're going to be on weather side of the meter. Okay, let's go ahead and check out the weather side of the meter for a second. If we click on that, it takes us right to a time date because I have that all turned on. Now if you go back to your measurements, back in the system settings, you can turn off any one of these that you don't want to mess with, but we'll scroll through all of them real quick. We have these are user screens. You have 1, 2, 3 different user screens you can set up to show 3 different values, and then it just goes through everything that this looks at. You can turn off any of these that you want to make this go faster. Okay, we're back to the main one now. Let's go ahead and hit our options menu. Right here, this is the main options menu. Now we're going to go to the ballistic side of the meter. Okay, from the ballistic side of the meter, this is we're going to go ahead and set up a couple more things. The first thing I want to do is get this reading in yards because that's what I use. So we're going to go to the target menu. We're going to select that. And the first one that comes up is target range, and it says 500 meters. I'm going to select target range again, and it's going to give me a units that I can change. So right now it's on meters. I'm going to select yards, and I'm going to exit back out of it. Now it shows 547 yards. The next button down is your direction of fire. This is where you would change compass headings. Next one down is inclination degrees. What's the angle of the shot? To adjust that, you're going to scroll right or left. And it's important to use the negative number on this if you're shooting down, especially at a very great distance, because AB will actually take into account difference in air pressure as you're shooting down versus shooting up. So you're going to have less pressure if you shoot up, you have more pressure if you shoot down. So it's important to use the negative and positive numbers when you change your inclination degrees. Next one is the cosine. You can run it that way if you want. This is your target speed for a mover. This is the target direction, which way is it going for a mover. This is the wind direction. This is your wind speed 1. It has 2 brackets, so you have wind speed 1 and wind speed 2. You can have 2 different ones there. And that's it in that screen. So we're going to go ahead and exit out. Next one is our wind. Go ahead and click on wind. This is where you can change all of your wind speed and your direction. So this also goes to target direction. Let's go ahead and do from 3 o'clock for our wind. And we'll do wind speed 1 at 3 miles an hour, wind speed 2 at 5 miles an hour. So now we'll have 2 different values for our wind speed. Okay, let's go ahead and go to gun. We'll build a gun profile in a minute, but this is where you would choose your gun. This is your environment screen. Now for environment, we're basically looking at all the conditions that will control air density as far as the meter goes. So as long as the update says yes, this meter is every 5 seconds it's updating itself as far as air pressure, air temperature, and humidity. So once you get into a place where you're going to shoot and you're really sure that you have your ambient temperature right, I always turn that off to no. That way this meter can't heat up, it can't cool down, it can't do anything other than be frozen in place and time for the air temperature as it is right there. Okay, your next one down is your latitude. So you're going to want to set this. I'm at 48 right now. You don't really need to mess with this too much unless you go north or south quite a bit. Let's go ahead and put that at 48. Alright, so this is our temperature. Now when you have your update turned off or no, you can manually change these things. So let me show you. I'm going to set this at, say, 50 degrees right now. So right now I have the meter set at 50 degrees, even though it's not 50 degrees. So I'll show you what happens when you go to an update. The meter automatically read through this thermistor right here that it's 74 degrees in the room. Let's turn that back off. Okay, this is your station pressure. This is what air pressure is right now. This uses station pressure, Applied Ballistics does, to give you your corrections for the shot. Okay, relative humidity is 34%. It shows you density altitude, but it does not use density altitude as the main input to take the shot. Spin drift, you can turn this on and off. I just leave mine on, and that's it for this screen. Alright, let's go ahead and build a gun profile. I'm going to make this easy. I'm going to go to a new gun. Now let's just stick with user gun 1. Okay, you're going to click on that. You're going to scroll up to gun, and here's where you can make it say anything you want to say. This will take a long time to erase all these, so I'm just going to go ahead and call this profile 300. It's a lot of button pushing. But we'll call it 300. I won't erase all the letters on there. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and exit out of the name. It's going to be 300R Gun 1. Okay, so the first step we need to do is check our muzzle velocity. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll right to increase that. It's 2,950 feet a second. This goes a lot faster, but I'm trying to do it by looking over the top of the camera. Okay, so 2950 is my muzzle velocity, feet per second. Drag model is G7. This is a 210 grain Berger VLD, so the ballistic coefficient is 320. That's G7 ballistic coefficient. Okay, the next one is going to be bullet weight. It's 210 grains. The next one is bullet diameter. It is a 308. The bullet length. The bullet length of this bullet is 1. Let's turn that off. Okay, you need to go into here and turn off auto calc. That's automatic calculation. Exit back out, and then you can adjust the length on this. The actual length of the bullet is 1.47. The reason that's important, I guess, is for spin drift calculations. Okay, my zero range is 100 yards. Okay, the bore height, or the height of the center line of your turret over the center line of your barrel. Mine is 2.15. Rate of twist. Mine is a 10 twist barrel. So you just scroll down. Again, this is a spin drift calculation. Okay, elevation units. These are the units you're using to adjust the elevation on your correction. We want to be true minute of angle, TMOA. You can also be mils, but I use true minute of angle. You have shooter minute of angle, which is not really what you want to use. So true minute of angle or mils. Okay, I'm not doing clicks. Windage unit, it's going to be the same way. True minute of angle. That's another thing. You can set this for clicks, but I don't. True minute of angle is just running minute of angle on your scope turrets. Okay, windage click, and then delete gun at the end. We don't want to delete it, obviously. So now I have a 300 Win Mag entered in there as a gun profile. So I'm going to exit out, and I'm in my targeting screen. Alright guys, remember this is a LiNK model. This is the Bluetooth version of the 5700 Sportsman. So let me show you something really cool as far as gun profile management. I'm going to go ahead and click on my Kestrel LiNK Ballistic app here, my iPhone 7. No, let's not do that right now. It's telling me it needs a firmware update. Maybe we'll do that in a minute. Okay, I'm going to select this device. This is the Sportsman. I'm going to go into my gun profile management. This is where I store everything that I've ever built to put onto a Kestrel. So I'm going to select 3 different guns. So I'm going to hit the select button. Let's put the Stalker in there. Let's put that 300 in there. And let's put the 260 Terminator 130 Hybrid in there. So I have 3 different profiles selected, and I'm going to send them to the Kestrel. Yep, that's what I want to do. Okay, let's exit out and watch it. You can see them start coming in. Boy, that's a lot faster than clicking all the little arrows using all these little keypad deals, and it's one of the reasons, it is the main reason that I recommend people get a LiNK model of either the Kestrel 5700 Elite or the Kestrel 5700 Sportsman. It is just super convenient to do all your gun profile management on this rather than on that. The buttons are way easier. You can see everything's bigger, and you're using the format on your phone, which is pretty easy to use. Everybody's familiar with it. I just really recommend it, but it can be done the other way. You can also use the data cable on the back of this and hook into a PC and run all of your gun profiling, all your management off of your computer. You cannot do it wirelessly. You can do some things wirelessly, but gun profile management isn't one of them. You have to use a cable or you have to use the Bluetooth. Okay, let's set up a shot real quick with the 300 Win Mag. Let's check to make sure 300 Win Mag is our gun. Scroll up. There's our targeting screen. I'm going to hit my target capture straight up, but I'll just do it like this so you can see it. Hit the capture button again, and it tells us what the heading to the target is. Now I'm going to scroll until I get to 1200 yards. Okay, 1200 yard shot. Our wind, let's say 3 o'clock, but mostly we don't have anything. So we'll go 0 for the first number, we'll say 3 miles an hour for the second number. So we have a bracket we're working off of where we're assuming that we have no wind most of the time, but every now and then there's 3 miles an hour that comes through. Okay, so let's exit out. So here's our targeting screen. We have, it's calling for 31.5 minutes up, which is what we dial on the scope. And for no wind, we need 1 minute to left to offset spin drift of the bullet, which is trying to spin off to the right. If the wind kicks up to the 3 miles an hour, we actually need to have 3/4 of a minute, or 0.84 minutes, right wind to offset it. The reason that that's happening is we have wind coming from our 3 o'clock that's overcoming the spin drift and forcing us to add a little bit of more right wind onto it. So you could actually have 2 different directions that you have to dial your turret, depending on what the wind's doing and depending on what the spin drift is doing. Okay, so say we take this shot, 31.5 minutes up, and the bullet doesn't land where it's supposed to. It lands high or low. Let's say it lands a half minute high. Okay, we can fix that. So we need to get back to our gun screen. We're going to click on our gun screen, and we're going to adjust our muzzle velocity. So we'll click on our muzzle velocity. We're going to go down to Cal MV, which is calibrate muzzle velocity. Our range that we shot at was 1,200 yards. It's telling us we really ought to be calibrating muzzle velocity at 1415, which is the transonic zone that the bullet would enter into. That would be the distance. But we're going to go ahead and do it at 1,200. Say the bullet landed a half-minute high. So what we're going to input here is our actual drop that we needed to make that shot. So we're going to scroll it down until we get to 31 minutes. Okay, we're at 31 minutes. That's what it took to make the shot. If we would have dialed 31 minutes, we would have poleaxed it. We would have bullseyed that sucker. So what it's telling us is our muzzle velocity. In order to make this algorithm work correctly, we need to adjust our muzzle velocity to 2973 instead of 2950. So we're going to come down to muzzle velocity. We're going to exit. It's going to ask us, do we want to accept the muzzle velocity calibration? If you want to, you're going to say select. If you don't want to, you're going to exit. I don't want to because I know 2950 is right. Okay, but that's how you would do a trajectory validation. Okay guys, let's go ahead and do a firmware update. Go ahead and hit continue. This is going to do this wirelessly for me. This will take a while, so I'm just going to cut and edit this video so it doesn't bore you to death. But basically what this is doing an update on the firmware, which is the basic operating system of this Kestrel Sportsman. So it's going to erase all those things I just showed you how to put on, meaning the preferences for the display, the preferences for the system, all of my gun profiles are all going to be gone. So it's basically like I just factory restored it. But it's real easy with LiNK. I can go back on and I can upload all those gun profiles back in there again. It's just really easy. The other thing you're going to have to do is do a compass calibration again, because it's basically wiping out everything. But I'll just let it do its thing now, and I'll check back in a while. Well, there it is. Update's complete. Now I have to go through the entire process I just showed you. I'm not going to do it on video. I wish I'd have been looking at a clock, but I'd estimate that takes 15 minutes or so, doing it with a phone with Bluetooth. The other thing you can do if you have a LiNK model is you can get a dongle for your computer that will allow it to do it via Bluetooth over your PC. If you don't have LiNK, or if you do have LiNK, you can also use the transfer cable via USB port on your computer to do firmware updates. Alright, welcome to version 1.11. Okay, one last thing before I close. I told you I'd show you the different backlighting. This is a white backlight. It takes a second for the camera to adjust because it's relatively bright. To get to our red backlight, we want to come back out to our options menu, go to our display, backlight, switch it to red. So there's the red, there's the white. Of course, camera has a really hard time going back and forth between the two, but I actually prefer the white for hunting because it's a lot brighter. There's the red, there's the white. Can I show you something else real quick before I close this out? It comes with a lanyard that you can put on. I prefer to use this MSR cordage. This is some red, it's used for guy lines on tents and stuff like that, but it's red color with some white reflective chunks sewn into it so that you can find this in the dark with a headlamp. Believe me, eventually you're going to need to do that if you hunt very much at last light. Anyway, that's what I use. You can buy it on Amazon.com or something like that. They also have some green stuff you can use. You're going to want to have a lanyard on it because you're going to have to clear out the air sensor up here in the top every now and then to make sure you're reading ambient air temperature. If it's really hot out or if it's really cold out and you have this either in the sun or in a pocket or in your pack, eventually you're going to have to swing this around like this to clear out that air sensor wire. It looks really scary to swing something this expensive around, but that's what you have to do. And then, like I was telling you before, you go in and you turn your update off, and that will keep the temperature right where it was when you cleared out that temp sensor wire. Alright, well that's it on running the Kestrel 5700 Sportsman. That was the basic setup video. I'm sure I'll have some more videos in the future on this. I also have a whole series of videos on the Kestrel 5700 Elite, which is basically the same meter with some added capabilities. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to send me an email at sam@panhandleprecision.com. Make sure you go over and check out the website, see the whole review on this thing. Until then, thanks for watching. See you next time.